Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast, episode 67. It is our ECU pitching preview. It is media day for the Pirates. Unfortunately, unable to make it down from the Charlotte area for that. But Coach Godwin, Coach Palumbo, AK, and then obviously selected players. I'm sure you'll hear from Ethan Norby, Colby Wallace, perhaps Austin Irby, among others. So definitely look forward to that. Be it from Hoist the Colors, Pirate Radio, whatever media outlets are on hand there, in addition to 94.3 The Game. But, guys, it was a bit of a short night, and we had, a night-day doubleheader of sorts here with this early morning show.
Yeah, we did. But you know what? This is the time of year when you don't mind, putting in that extra work. I'm looking forward to listening to what John has to say about the pitching staff.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. It wasn't long ago we were talking, but good morning, Pirate Nation, and it's the day to talk about the Pirate pitching roster. So,
yeah, and it's a very talented one. And here in just a moment, we'll dive headfirst into that. Before we do, just did want to mention. Last night, I had mentioned at some point in the show, how Mark Minikazi, our loyal sponsor here with PGXgloves.com, he had taken that job with the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. What a nickname, huh? But that's part of the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. Minikazi's a 5-year vet managing in the Atlantic League, having made stops in Charleston, West Virginia, Lexington, Kentucky, and then also Frederick, Maryland. And then the last 2 years he had spent in Staten Island with the Ferry Hawks. So if you have an opportunity, if you're in the Piedmont region of our state in particular, get out to watch his team, the Flying Boxcars of Hagerstown, when they visit the High Point Rockers, or if you're down in the Charlotte area, you can check them out against Gastonia. But Kaz, as far as that opportunity is concerned, he had this to say: "I'm beyond excited to join the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Having visited as an opponent, I've seen firsthand the beautiful ballpark, met so many incredible fans, and witnessed an organization that takes great pride in everything it does on and off the field. To now be part of that is truly special." So best of luck to Kaz, and I appreciate his support of the show. Again, pgxgloves.com, specializing in baseball gloves, or batting gloves, I should say. There you see some of his selection, and you can get 25% off by entering the promo code Jungle Tales in all caps. Again, Jungle Tales in all caps with no spaces for 25% off your order. But let's dive headfirst into it. Ethan Norby, Junior Lefty. He is a guy that is a preseason pitcher of the year in the American Conference, and that's not surprising with his body of work. And last year he had that 19 strikeout game against the College World Series runner-up, Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, what a special moment for him and the Pirate fan base, going out and being able to see something that special. That doesn't happen very often. We all know that, especially against a team of the caliber of Carolina, who finished second in the World Series last year. Ethan's started 24 games over his career. He's a workhorse on the mound. You get 150 innings out of him. He's not going to walk a lot of people. He's going to get in your face and say, "Are you ready to hit? Because I'm ready to pitch." That type of guy. And 182 strikeouts over those 150 innings, or 149 and a third. But you're a batter. You know what you're getting with him. I can imagine what those guys are thinking before they get to the plate. He's going to be ready to pitch as soon as my head turns. And you better be ready, because he's coming at you. And what a guy to lead on Friday night. And going into this year, we know he's going to be the Friday starter. So last year was a little bit, we didn't know based on what was going on with all the other possible injuries and starters, et cetera. And he was expected to either be a starter or a bullpen guy, long relief, and he can deliver both, whatever you need, and we saw that in the tournament as well. So, yeah, great guy to have as your Friday starter, bulldog, as I've always called him. A great head on his shoulders and ready to pitch. Love that guy. One of my favorite East Carolina Pirates of all time.
Yeah, going back to Ethan's freshman year, that just gutsy performance when he had to be pitching on fumes against Evansville on such short rest, and he delivered that night in Game 6 of that regional and gave the Pirates a chance on Monday. And then last year, in addition to that Coastal Carolina performance, what he did in the regional down in Conway against the Florida Gators, 7 1/3, didn't walk a batter, struck out 10, and limited the Gators to, he scattered 6 hits.
Yeah, a couple things there real quick. I think the night that he pitched against Evansville, the Norby family also found out that Connor was promoted to the big leagues that night. Seems like that happened on the same night, which is could you imagine the family that night after both of those young men were doing what they were doing, and then yeah, pitching against Florida. We know what happened with Coach Sullivan after that. So I think he got in the craw of the Gators based on his performance. But anyway, yeah, great stuff out of Ethan, and you can only expect it. Obviously, everybody knows he's going to be up there for the pitcher of the year, and he's going to deliver. So, what a guy to have on Friday night.
One more note that I had about Ethan, and then I'll pass it to you, Stats. But kind of going back to his freshman season, and what made me think of this is because of the 19 strikeout game last year. Nobody can, of course, project anything like that happening, much less against an opponent like Coastal Carolina. But in his freshman season, he did strike out 10-plus batters on 9 occasions per his bio on ECUPirates.com. And that was something that jumped out to me because that's very, very impressive stuff. And he, of course, was named a freshman All-American as a result.
Yeah, and you're talking about that 19K game that he faced 25 batters and he struck out 19 of those guys. So, and that was Coastal Carolina, folks. So his game plays at any level, which is impressive.
Well, didn't you mention that he set down the first 9 batters, didn't he?
By strikeout, that's correct.
Yeah, that's incredible in itself. You know, the only thing that I'll add, I don't have much to add about Norby, but in our conference play, I mentioned this previously, our game 1 record against conference opponents was 4-5. You know, we got to do better this season. And that's not on Norby because Brad Pruitt started game 1 against Wichita State and Tulane, and Lance Williams started game 1 against USF. So if we have Ethan as our Friday night guy every night, every series, I should say, I'm very confident that we'll turn that around. And, you know, it's important when you're playing a conference series that you win game 1. And, you know, I think we need to get back to dominating game 1s. And, you know, last year, I think the only 2 games he lost in game 1 were Trey Beard and Blake Gillespie were the other pitchers. And it's not that Ethan pitched, you know, poorly. It's that those 2 were kind of lights out. So
yeah, he had a little spell there where he gave up some home runs, and you know all pitchers know this. You're going to go through a little bit of a dead arm or trying to figure some things out. Maybe you're tipping a pitch or 2, but he figured it out, and that's what you do when you're not pitching. You're trying to figure things out and trying to make yourself better, and he seems to be one that can do that and get better as the year goes on.
And kind of going along with that Bulldog mentality, he definitely will show some emotion on the mound, but he's good at keeping that under control. But if he gets a punch out in a big situation, then he'll definitely he won't hesitate to throw up his arms and get the crowd into it even more so.
Yeah, and that emotion is directed at the Pirate Nation and his teammates. He's never one to show up the other team. That's what I like about it. I've seen pitchers, especially in the SEC, and especially for a team that's west of this state, show up the other team, based on a strikeout. And that kind of stuff really sticks in my craw. So he doesn't do that. He's pumping up his own teammates. He's pumping up the crowd, and that's what we love about him.
Another guy kind of moving on now, Sean Jenkins. Sean Jenkins definitely entered last year with a lot of hype. 17 years old, graduated early, enrolled, and was pitching when he could have been a senior in high school. So much was made of that last year, and I guess understandably so. And we definitely saw it in a lot of spots. There were growing pains, as you would expect, but he's someone that you definitely, going into it, expect to see probably number 2 in this rotation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have an interesting note on Jenkins. We struggled to have our starting pitcher go many innings, many times, and Sean 6 times he pitched beyond 5 innings. So I mean that's really important, and I expect those numbers to even go up more this year. And like Norby, he doesn't walk many people. I think he had 20 walks and 70 in the 3rd innings. So if we could have a 1-2 punch with guys that get a lot of strikeouts and don't walk many batters, that we're in a good position, I feel.
Yeah, a couple notes on Sean, and then I'll let you elaborate a lot more, Wool. But he finished his freshman season, 19 appearances, 12 starts, 4-4 with a 5.12 ERA, 70 in the 3rd, 52 strikeouts, as Johnny mentioned, 20 walks. Opponents hit 261 against him. And then he delivered that 5 1/3 against Tulane in the American title game. But then that relief effort against Charlotte about halfway through the season, that really kind of got him back on track for a time. But he, in that game against the 49ers, he had 8 strikeouts and helped the Pirates prevent the sweep that day.
Yeah, I think going back to that 49er game, he opened the eyes up of a lot of people to say, yeah, this is the pitcher we expected coming out of high school. At a young age, he was very young, but he has all the tools. He has multiple pitches. I think he may be a little bit too fine at times early on last year instead of getting up there and pitching. May have been could attribute to some of his early struggles there, but he definitely has the stuff to be a top of the line starter. And we do expect him to probably be the day 2 starter at this point. But yeah, I think he's a little bit technical there early on. He really thinks hard. He's a cerebral kind of pitcher. If you listen to him talk, and he has 4 pitches out there. He has a good arsenal, but sometimes he gets away from getting in the zone and barreling down on batters like Norby does. He doesn't walk a lot of people, but he does go long into the at bats with amount of pitches. So, but yeah, that Charlotte 49er game, he showed that's the kind of pitcher that he's probably going to end up being as he matures.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what Sean Jenkins is able to produce in his sophomore season. And one of the things that was so impressive about him is the head that he has on his shoulders. You heard him in post-game interviews, even when he didn't have good outings, he handled it so well. And yeah, really, sky's the limit for him. I know, talked to multiple D1 coaches from this region, and they were just saying that they when they had opportunity to see Sean Jenkins and pitch, be it against them or otherwise, that they were very impressed and definitely think that he has the ability to become a big leaguer one day.
Yeah, if anybody could go back and watch him pitch against the 49ers, a lot of people were like, that's next level stuff there. He's definitely going to pitch at the next level if he can rein that in and do it, consistently. So, yeah, the future is bright for the young man. Can't wait to see what he produces in his sophomore year.
So in addition to Ethan Norby and Sean Jenkins, with the rotation, you would think that based on what we've seen and heard, that Colby Weber, a very talented freshman from the Pittsburgh area that we had on the show back last summer, and Colby had a very solid fall, up to 96, 4-pitch mix. He throws those pitches for strikes, and in high school, he was just lights out. I mean, that's one of those things you don't want to read too much into a guy's high school statistics, but 24-1, an ERA of less than 1, 249 strikeouts, and 184 innings.
Yeah, if you read his high school stats, yeah, you'll get dizzy. He did everything. He only lost one game, having an ERA under 1 for all 3 of his years. That's impressive even in high school. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's still got to translate to the next level, and he'll learn when he gets to East Carolina that now he's facing a team that has a lineup of batters that were as good as probably 1 or 2 of the ones he faced at each of one of his high school games. So, but one thing I found interesting, he did play 4 years on the golf team there as well, and I think we mentioned that in his interview. But yeah, he definitely had an impressive career. He's a big, tall pitcher at 6'7", right-hander. So he's going to be coming at you at a very tall angle. So excited to see what he can deliver this year.
JR, any thoughts on Colby Weber?
I don't have anything to add to that. No, Bubba.
Okay. Kind of moving on, a portal pickup for the Pirates, and from the best I recall, this was a late.
I was going to add one thing. Sorry about that, Colby.
No problem. Go ahead,
Bubba. About Colby. Now he's another one of those very analytical guys too. Uses all the tools to try and improve his pitching. Coming in and reminding me of what we had last year. So, and I just wanted to mention that he does his homework, so to speak. So.
Yeah, and that was something that we dove into in that interview. Go back and check it out. We'll try to put that on our social media, on X, as well as Facebook. But one of the portal pieces that we added, and I think this was late in the process, but Luke Payne, very talented left-hander from Tennessee, a Tennessee native. For the Vols across 2 seasons, he had pitched in 7 1/3, or he had thrown 7 1/3 innings across something like 9 appearances. And in those 22 outs, he had struck out 14. And but he had walked 7. So it's a guy that has very, very good stuff, as I saw firsthand at UNCG. A few scouts there in attendance that day were very impressed, and the numbers were different on the roster. I don't even know that there was a roster that day, so they were like, "Who's this guy?" And so, yeah, Luke Payne, very impressed with what I saw. Interested to see how it translates this spring.
Yeah, the 2 strikeouts per inning, but the one thing is the one walk per inning, so he needs to figure that out. We haven't seen a lot on paper yet, but obviously if he was recruited to go to a team like Tennessee in the SEC, he's got legit stuff. And you mentioned UNCG and what you saw, so, and scouts, etc. But we're going to have to see more out of him. Obviously, he's got the stuff to do it. And hopefully, as a left-handed pitcher, which is something that we can use a lot of at East Carolina, he develops into something special for us. And we've seen what other SEC transfers have done in our conference, especially at Charlotte. So hopefully we can get one of those guys for the Pirates rotation.
Yeah, and Luke Payne, he pitches there in the low 90s, probably 90 to 93. Very good changeup, very good slider. Another portal piece that the Pirates added, he'd been a Friday night starter last year at St. Joe's, and we also had him on the show, and that is Frank Saccone. Frank, last year, pitched nearly 75 innings across 14 starts for the Hawks. And he's a guy that had the opportunity to see him for a couple innings against UNCG, and really liked what I saw. He's like Luke Payne there in the low 90s, and solid change, curveball, slider.
Yeah, and the 74 was a career high for him. So becoming a Friday starter was a big deal. Bringing some maturity to the team. And from some of the video I saw, it looked like he had some good run on his ball. I have to see more, obviously, up close and personal, but seemed like he had a lively fastball and 74 innings, 74 hits, strikeouts. He had 69. So hopefully we can get a reliable arm out of him and some maturity on the team, a leader, that type of person come in and show people, the younger players, how you get it done and how you practice and how you get yourself ready for your routine and the week upcoming. So look forward to seeing what he can help bring to the team. And like I said, you're getting a guy that's a little bit older and can help some of these younger guys out.
The Pirates,
Yeah.
of course, already had a couple of Liberty transfers in the program a year ago, and Nick Moran being one of those. Nick, of course, is still on the roster, and we'll talk about him in a few minutes. But Joe Webb joining the Pirate program. He's a North Carolina kid, Burns High School. Had actually been coached by Drew Reynolds, a former Pirate that was recently profiled in our countdown to first pitch. But in addition to being coached by Drew Reynolds, he had also been a teammate of Diesel, Ethan Young, at Catawba Valley Community College that previous season before going to Liberty. But at Catawba Valley, he pitched 61 innings, had 72 Ks, 20 walks. Last year at Liberty, 46 and a third across 18 appearances, 14 of those, or in 14 of those 18 appearances, he went at least 2 innings. And in 46 and a third, he only surrendered 28 hits, which really jumped out to me. 51 strikeouts, 20 walks, 9 hit batters, which is something, those 29 free passes in 46 innings that you would like to see a little bit less. But overall, Joe Webb, excellent stuff, 90 to 94, can throw from multiple arm slots, and also has a solid slider, splitter, and knuckle curve.
And one thing I liked about Webb was he faced 191 batters at Liberty, and he only gave up 1 home run. So I liked and like you said, 28 hits and 46 and a third innings is fantastic. And then only 1 was a home run. That's something that I definitely like to see.
Yeah, the number of hits is very impressive for that amount of innings. And I can give you a little context. I mean, if he pitched in Burns, then he knows how to keep the ball low because if you pitch at that stadium or that park, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Anybody out there from that area who's played in there. It's a bandbox type park, and basically you have to take batting practice from the backstop to keep your balls in the park. But so obviously he learned how to keep the ball low in the strike zone and prevent those home runs. So maybe that has a lot to do with it there, JR. And I can tell you that from my experience pitching at Burns when I was in high school. So, but yeah, looking at that whip, it's still low, even though he had those walks. But that was because he didn't give up a lot of hits, and maybe he's keeping the batters confused, maybe a little bit, disguising things, and a little wild possibly. And batters don't get comfortable when that happens. So we'll see how that turns around. But hopefully he can bring what the last person from Catawba brought to this team, and that was greatness. So hopefully we can see that.
Another portal piece, we added Gavin Van Kempen, 6'7", 240 pounds, from Castleton, New York, by way of West Virginia. He pitched for a very solid WVU program over the last few seasons, very competitive in the Big 12, playing in the postseason. So that's something that stood out to me. And going into last season, he had preseason All-American honors, did not pitch the way he would have liked. I'm not sure of all the details there, but in 2023 as a freshman in Morgantown, 3-0 with a 5.13 ERA and 26 and a third and 12 appearances. 4 of those, like I said, being starts. In 2024, 13 appearances, 5 starts, 7-1 with a 3.14 ERA, 28 and 2/3 innings, 35 strikeouts, and then last season 14 appearances, 13 starts, 2-0 with a 6.13 ERA. So a lot of no decisions in there, but 39 and 2/3 innings, 37 strikeouts, but way too many free passes, 26 walks, and a couple hit batters in those 39 in a fraction.
Yeah, after his 2024 campaign, you could see why he would be considered a preseason All-American there. 6'7", 240 pounds listed on the roster. That's a big guy. If nothing, we have a basketball team this year based on the other 6'7" we have on our team and 6'4". We have a very tall pitching roster this year. So, but going back to Gavin, yeah, hopefully he can return to that 2024 form where he was outstanding for West Virginia in a good league. So, something happened last year that he didn't quite get it. Like you said, maybe the walks or something, but you never know what's going on. And hopefully we can get him back to that 2024.
Yeah, well said, and definitely intrigued to see what Gavin Van Kippen brings and what role he takes on, because as we mentioned, in West Virginia, he started over 20 games, including 13 a year ago, with a lot of those starts coming in the Big 12. So he's definitely a guy that has that potential, and we'll see how things shake out. But let's see. Moving on, I think that may be all of our portal. No, excuse me. We have not talked about Thomas Paxton and Gavin Marley. A couple of ads from the D2 level. We'll start with Gavin Marley. He's going to be wearing number 99, redshirt junior from Lenore Rhine. Actually had a family tie. I believe it was his mom had been a ECU alum, or is an ECU alum, I should say. But Gavin really excelled a year ago for the Bears, who made it all the way to the D2 World Series in Cary. In 2025, 39 and a third innings, just 22 hits, 59 strikeouts in 39 and a third. He did walk 22 and hit 7, but that 59 Ks in 39 and a third really jumped out, and he had a record of 3-1, a 2.75 ERA.
Yeah, I was going to say, like Joe Webb, very similar in the respect that Gavin faced 162 batters, and he didn't give up any home runs, but he had control issues too with 8 wild pitches and 7 hit batters. But hey, we've had good luck with pitchers named Gavin, so hopefully these 2 Gavins will follow Gavin Williams' example.
Yeah, over 65 innings in his career across summer and college. He's hit 14 batters. So he likes to pitch inside, maybe, and that's unsettling for batters. But, yeah, nice solid 2.06 ERA over those 65 and 2/3 innings. And the strikeouts did stand out there, Bubba. So, yeah. And as Bubba said, or as Johnny said, Gavin, the name Gavin, we've had good luck with that. So if we can get another Gavin out there like the one we had a few years back, wow, there you go. I'm putting the pressure on Mr. Marley already.
Yeah, Gavin Marley, 6 feet, 195 pounds. Pitched very well when I saw him at UNCG in a couple innings. In those 2 innings of work, I think he struck out 3 or 4. Very impressive stuff that day. And interested to see what role he takes on. But Thomas Paxton, he will be, I think he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. He's coming from Belmont Abbey. He's a North Carolina kid from the Charlotte area, actually Union County. He was Cuthbert's in high school, I believe, a Cavalier there. But Thomas has been at Belmont Abbey, like I mentioned, and across 2 seasons had worked nearly 65 innings last year. 39 and 2/3, 28 hits, 36 strikeouts and 18 walks.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he brings. He seems a very solid pitcher everywhere he goes, and after he played summer ball, looked like he got things together a little bit after his first year at Belmont Abbey. Came back, did some good things with Belmont Abbey, and then went back and played summer ball. Same team in the Coastal Plains. So I'm interested to see what he can bring to the table. A big, tall, 6'4" guy, and it doesn't seem like I've got a lot of information on high school career, etc. And he did this and he did that, but he looks like he produces when he gets on the mound. So hopefully we get a good, solid pitcher out of him.
Well, in the Coastal Plains League this past summer, he was with the Wilmington Sharks, and he had 16 appearances, and he pitched a total of 15 and 2/3 innings. So his max was 1 inning. So that's what he is. He's come in and pitch a good solid inning, and that's what he did at Wilmington again. I mean, he had 22 strikeouts in 15.2 innings, only 5 walks, and only allowed 11 hits. So I mean, that's what you want when you need to put someone in there to retire the side.
And he did the same thing at Belmont Abbey his first year. Second year he got stretched out a little bit, but it does look like that's the type of pitcher you're going to get out of him. But he looks like he can handle that role well, and that's something that every team needs. And we do. I think we're going to see. We saw last year. We talk about this a lot off the air, but midweek games we didn't really play like we want to, right? We didn't have a lot of quality start. We did have a couple, but we didn't get a lot of quality starts and struggled in midweek games. And it's still important. The midweek games is where you get your players out there and they get their pitching, their innings in, and start developing more and more and seeing what you got. So those are important. And I think we need to do better in that category. So you're going to see a lot of these guys that we've been talking about putting those roles midweek and hoping to see these guys produce and get a little bit better action out of the midweek for the team.
Yeah, hey, to expand on that, Wool. So we had 12 midweek games, and 6 times the starting pitcher lasted 2 innings or less. So that is something we definitely need to improve on, and I think we will.
Yeah, and that might be a good segue in Mr. Nick Moran, who produced one of our better starts in midweek. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys want to talk about him right
Yeah.
now, Bubba. I don't want to throw you off, but
No, that's exactly where I was headed. I was going to say, in addition to, I think we've talked as far as lefties are concerned, Ethan Norby and Luke Payne, and that may have been it. But Nick Moran, a proven commodity from the left side, 6'4", 220 pounds, came in prior to last season from Liberty, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. At Liberty, he had put up solid numbers, pitched well against the Pirates. Last year, 17 appearances, 4 of those being starts. One of those was a midweek start where he went 5+. Very solid outing against VCU in Richmond. Finished the year 1-1 with a 4.99 ERA, but opponents hit just 220 against him. And then another very impressive outing was one he had against NC State at Clark LeClaire, because, of course, the game in Raleigh was rained out, wink, wink. But
we had a lot of those rain out wink winks last year, right?
Yeah, I was the idiot that traveled to Doak Field thinking I was going to see baseball.
Yeah.
And instead I got a tour of Reynolds Coliseum. But but 4 2/3 that night against the Wolfpack, allowing just 1 run and striking out 4.
Yeah, we definitely got glimpses of what he can be, and being a left-hander and pitching at Clark LeClaire, we need more of those. We always harp on this, and it's a good thing that he brings to the table. Like you said, solid commodity. We see what he can do when he's on, and hopefully we're going to see more of that grow this year, and definitely get a good lefty arm that is much needed for this team.
Yeah, what I want to see is more consistency, like a back-to-back good game is something that he didn't produce last year. He would follow up, a good outing with, a short appearance. So I think he's up for the task. And I think, we're going to see him put in more innings this season.
Another lefty the Pirates have returning that logged 15 appearances a year ago, sophomore Gabe Betchloss from Garden City, New York. In those 15 appearances, he worked 11 innings and he struck out 15, but he also walked 8. It seemed as though command was an issue as well in the summer. You don't want to read too much into that, not knowing the situation, because, of course, guys are working on things in the summer. So, no, it's not good, but again, you don't know exactly the details of the situation.
Yeah. I think Gabe's best game may have been the same game that was Nick's best game, and that was at VCU in that 11-1 win. Nick started out with 5 innings, and then Gabe pitched 2 really good innings, only allowing 1 hit and striking out 4. I think that was probably his best effort of the year.
Yeah, another big lefty, and he knows what he needs to do. We've seen it last year, and maybe he's working on things in the coastal, or he was playing in the Cal Ripken League, I believe. So, yeah, still walking too many. He knows that. Everybody knows that's what he needs to work on. And we need another lefty. We need him to step up and give us some good innings and produce results consistently and get those walks down. I mean, that's about as simple as you can put it.
Speaking of quality lefties that you would love to have innings from, Ryan Towers. Of course, much was made about him transferring in and vying for a spot in the rotation prior to last season after a solid sophomore campaign at Loyola Marymount. In that year with the Lions, he appeared in 14 games, started 13. He was 1-3 with a 4.91 ERA, but those numbers don't tell the whole story. 51 in the third innings, 50 strikeouts, and he had some of his better outings against quality competitions such as San Diego and some of those other West Coast Conference opponents and regional foes that are always vying for regionals.
Yeah, another left-hander that we're hoping to get good things out of. We're yet to see him, and we don't know a whole lot what's going on. He's throwing. We don't know quite what that means. Maybe he hasn't got out there in the bullpen yet, but we have to wait and see on what's going to happen with him. I know that he can produce when he's on the mound, and we need left-handed pitchers. So hopefully he can get back out there for us and deliver.
Yeah, I really want to see him doing something besides dancing in front of the dugout. But we definitely know he enjoys that and keeps the mood light.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't hurt himself doing that.
Yeah,
he was the winning manager for the Purple Gold.
He was.
Yeah, good, interesting nugget there. Yeah, something I definitely had not thought of. But good lineage. His dad, Kyle, pitched in the big leagues, and he's, I guess, originally from Vegas before starting his career at LMU. They're in SoCal.
The Maddox lineage comes from Henderson, Nevada as well. Greg and Mike, both big leaguers, and we know how good Greg was, but Mike was a heck of a pitcher and coach himself.
And one more note on Towers, he struck out 10 in 6 innings against Villanova in that 2024 season. That was one of his better performances in, again, 6 shutout innings with 10 Ks. But other lefties that we have not mentioned, guys that are yet to throw a pitch for the Pirates, on one that had been in the program in Dawson Neal, transferring in from Brunswick. Not sure, because as we were looking over the roster, you had 40 or 41 guys listed. Of course, you have a 35-man roster now. Intrigued to see how things get narrowed down. But and then you also have Charlie Hoagland, a freshman lefty out of Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I was on mute there, but yeah, don't know a lot about Dawson at this point. As far as Charlie goes, you got a 6', 6'1", 185 left-hander, but he was the number one left-handed pitcher ranked in Ohio. So we'll see where that goes. But that's about all I have right now on him. So I can't really comment more than what I saw in some of the rankings for the high school players in Ohio.
Other returning arms for the Pirates, shifting back to the righties. Jackson DiLorenzo, D'Lo. He had 20 appearances as a freshman in 2024. Last year, 22 appearances. A very solid freshman campaign. 25 and a third innings, 26 Ks, just 10 walks. And then you look last year, he was very good at times, but just way too many free passes. And the thing is, he wasn't buck wild, but he was missing. And I think he finished 3-1. I think 2 of those wins came on opening weekend against George Mason. But in 21 and third innings, 24 strikeouts, but 23 walks. And like I said, there were several of those that were, I mean, he was just off the plate or just barely missing.
Yeah, but a lot like Gavin Van Kempen. I was going to get Wool's opinion on this. His numbers did decline drastically from the prior year. Is that sometimes a mental thing, Wool, or is it when you lose command like that, like he did? For instance, 7 times this season, he walked a batter while only putting in a third of an inning or less.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I usually if you're losing command, it's I'm not trying to say he's got an injury or whatever, but something's going on where you don't have the same physical attributes you had when you were pitching better. I can say that from experience, as I suffered that between late in my junior year into my senior year. And you lose command and you lose confidence. Once you lose command, you're losing confidence, and so it piggybacks off itself. And then looking at him with the walks last year, he had 23 walks in 21 innings. He did go up to the New England Collegiate League, and he only pitched 6 2/3, but he had 15 strikeouts, and he had 3 walks up there when he did that. I'm not sure why he only pitched 6 2/3. He did pitch for Danbury, so like to see maybe if he shut it down or if he was pitching strictly in relief. He pitched in 4 games, it looks like. And it says, so maybe he was closing games up there, it looks like. So, we'll see what he can bring back.
Yeah.
The coach was giving him a lot of leash to get it right, if you ask me, last year.
Yeah.
Agreed. Like that first win against George Mason, I mean, he pitched 2/3 of an inning. He got the win, but he walked 4 in the 2/3 of an inning.
Yep.
So, even in his win, he had issues with his command. But you know what? He's like a fan favorite when he comes on the mound, especially in 24 when he was, producing a little bit better. And I just think that he can get it back. I'm looking forward to him coming out this season and showing everybody that, he's back. And we need it.
We definitely do. And he knows what he has to do as well. That season last year, forget about it and get those walks down and come out there and throw those, get all those strikeouts that he can produce. And he showed that in the New England League this summer in a short 6 2/3. So 15 strikeouts. That's impressive. So
yeah.
And last season, I'm sorry, Bubba. I was just going to say, last season he did pitch in all 3 games at Rice. We won all 3 of those games, and he pitched 7 innings and only walked 2. So, and he struck out 8, and he got one of the wins. So, I mean, that was encouraging to see that. So we know what he can do.
Yeah, to your point, I can't remember if Rice falls into this scenario or this category, but when certain variables presented themselves last year, Coach Godwin used him in a bit of an opener role and tried to get him some success early, and that was effective for a time. And perhaps his best outing of the year I saw at Elon. He went 2 2/3, striking out 5 on April 29th, and then he had a couple more solid outings over the last month plus of the season, including in the regional. And granted, I think this was in the game where things had gotten out of control against the Chanticleers there in the late innings. But nonetheless, he came in, got a couple outs, both via case.
Yeah, I'm going back to what Johnny says. We know what he can do, and we're expecting that to happen this year and get back on track. So look forward to seeing him. And he is a fan favorite, that's for sure.
Speaking of getting back on track or into the swing of things, and that is Brett Antolik, who came over prior to last season from Texas A&M. He's a Pennsylvania native and very highly touted coming out of high school. We had recruited him, got him on the bounce back. And he's a guy he's a redshirt sophomore at Texas A&M, only appeared in 4 games, went an inning in 2/3 against Houston. But last year, it looked as though he was going to be able to return. He was throwing a bullpen the day of the series opener against the Tar Heels at the DBAP. And then, unfortunately, things kind of regressed with his hip. They had to go back in and clean some things up, and I'm very interested to see when we get him and are able to add him into the mix this year. But yeah, a guy that's extremely talented, so much so that I saw one publication, I can't remember if it was D1 Baseball or Baseball America or who, had him as one of the top 5 draft eligible players in the American.
Yeah, he definitely has the background and the stuff, and he got recruited to Texas A&M. That should tell you one thing. That gives you an idea of what type of talent he has. He's a big righty, and I think he may be a little bit more ahead of Ryan at this time as far as getting back on the field. But those things you never know what's going on, and still a lot of question marks. Can't wait to see him out there, and if he can deliver and get in the games for the Pirates this year. Wow, it's just another big stalwart for the pitching staff. Another guy that can go out there and give you Friday night stuff. So yeah, excited to see him come along.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a note that the players had to be frustrated with Ryan and Brett, Ryan Towers and Brett, as far as they wanted to get out there. They thought they were close, but it just never happened for them. And you put that in there with Riley Johnson and Braxton Trammell as fans. I mean, I know the players were tortured far more than we were, but for us, it was like a very odd season where you're always just trying to get news. Are they going to be coming back this week? And it just, for 3 of them, they never did come back. And for Riley, he did. But it was definitely a torturous season last year as far as trying to get our team healthy.
Yeah, it's not making excuses. It's just our reality. You had 2 guys in Antolik and Towers vying for the weekend rotation that didn't throw a single pitch, yeah. and then your senior leader and your table setter. Even though we found another pretty good one in Braden Burris, so you hated it for Riley Johnson. Everything his blood, sweat, and tears that he had put into this program, that he could only play in roughly 20 to 22 games last year, but what a run it was down the stretch, and he left it all on the field down there in Conway, and you could see him getting so emotional at the post-game press conference. And then
even with his injuries but when he was on the field, you saw what he brought to the table, and it's just another one of my favorite players to watch was him.
Absolutely. And there's no way he was close to 100%, but you wouldn't know that. He certainly didn't make excuses, but when he did come back, it was very short term.
Yeah.
And then, luckily we got him back, because I don't know that we would have got to where we, ended up without Riley's contributions. I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have. So
Yeah. And I saw a great moment when Riley and Braden were, side by side in an interview, and I said that's the passing of the torch of two ballers, as we call them on the field. Two guys that are going to go out there and give you everything.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well said, Will.
so refreshing to see in an era where so many places that isn't the case, and guys, will opt out and those sorts of things, and not necessarily leave it all on the field for the team. And at East Carolina, and quite frankly, that's not an option with Coach Godwin. But and then the other one, Braxton Trammell, when he went down mid-season, he was hitting close to 350, and we talked about that last night in our positional preview. Definitely go back and check that out if you've not heard that yet. But speaking of guys that you have, through East Carolina's history, the two-way mantra or so forth. You have Colby Wallace. He's a guy now that he's appeared in 18 games on the mound over the last 2 seasons. Last year, 13 appearances, 12 and 2/3 innings. And he's a guy that you can come in and count on him to fill up the strike zone and get some outs in clutch situations. Even though he doesn't see a ton of time on the mound, the moment's not too big for him.
You're right. And, he's our returning leader in saves. He had 3 saves, and we only have 4 returning saves. Sean got 1 last season. So, Colby's, as of now, he's our save leader. So hopefully we can continue that.
And have you guys ever thought about this? If he comes in the game from third base, does he get extra pitches to warm up, throwing the home? I was just curious if you guys knew how that worked.
I would not.
Yeah, because
I would assume he'd be like anybody, though, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he be treated as if he was coming out of the bullpen?
Yeah, and that's the point here. Out of the bullpen, those guys already are warmed up, right? So he's got to get on the mound and be ready a lot quicker. And I know he's probably got, playing third base. He has a little bit more adrenaline going on, but he has to get ready very quick. So that's another dynamic to that. Also, if he does come in from third base, who do we got that's going to play third base? We have a lot of options as well there. So those are the things that go through a coach's mind when he has to make that decision.
Yeah. Last year it was Dixon.
Yep.
And this year I think it might be Braxton, but who knows? It's way early, but I would think Trammell would be a good candidate for that.
Yeah, but like Bubba said,
Braxton or Irby can bump over there. You can put somebody else at first.
Yeah. Yep. Irby's never played third for at least last year. He didn't. He just
not in the game. He's played it a lot this fall. Took a lot of reps there, and I think I may have mentioned this on our show last night, and that is that he had that Department of Defense shirt on. So he's been flashing the glove here early in the preseason
to show that he can play more than first. Yeah.
But
no, I was going to say, going back to what you said about Colby, he's going to get on the mound, put the ball in the strike zone, and put it in play. So defensive wise, be ready. As a good guy, he's not going to go out there and walk anybody. So
a couple more two-way guys we have on this roster: Brett Beasley, freshman from the state of Virginia, 6'3", 215, shortstop, middle infield, and then, like I mentioned, a right-handed arm. And so intrigued to see if he factors in this year at all on the mound. And then also another one is Alex Boucher. Boucher, to my knowledge, had not pitched since his days at South Central. When he was at South Central, he had, I think, something like 85 strikeouts in about 55 innings. But he definitely did not look out of place. And we know the type of arm strength he has. He he looked fairly good at UNCG in the fall.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see that. Yeah, definitely. We know his arm strength. It's probably one of the best on the team. And really quick, going back to Brett Beasley, that's tall shortstop out of Hampton Roads area, 6'3", 215, could do it all. Obviously, he was one of the best shortstops in the state there, but that'd be interesting to see if he can throw some innings on the mound as well. But yeah, Boucher, he's going to do whatever he has to do for the team. We talked about that last night. He's in the utility role. If he can get on the mound and give us some strong innings, even better. So, a senior leader out there, showing the guys what it takes to be a team player. So I'm glad to see him doing that.
I believe we're down to a couple freshmen that I have not touched on yet, and that is number 37, Ethan Rose, 6'4", 215, from Bridgeville, PA. Very unique delivery, an arm slot. And for longtime Pirate fans, going back to the Keith LeClaire and Randy Mazey years, think Davy Penny. He's kind of something about him struck me as Davy Penny-esque with that delivery that I saw against UNCG. He struggled with his command that day, but with what he brings to the table from a delivery standpoint and a different look, I'm intrigued to see if he gets some innings this year.
Yeah, we'll see. He does have that deception motion going on with a lot of run on those horizontal type runs. So we'll see how that goes with those type of pitchers. Like you mentioned, the control is always going to be something you're worried about a little bit, but throws across his body. But yeah, deception is the key to his game.
And lastly, Nathan Wines, 6'3", 210 out of Maryland. Any information you guys can provide on Nathan?
I was hoping Johnny did. I know he's out of Glen Burnie, Maryland.
Yeah. Well,
I don't have much on him. Sorry.
Yeah, I do not either.
But there you have it, Pirate Nation. That is a look at your 2026 pitching staff, led by Ethan Norby, and then of course Sean Jenkins, the true freshman, Colby Weber, looking to take on a key role. Several close to the program have had very high praise for Colby and what he brings to the table, what he's already shown this fall, and we'll see, how it translates this spring. But has everything that you're looking for in a top flight pitcher. Again, from the state of Pennsylvania. Definitely go back and check out our interview with Colby from last summer.
Yeah, and as far as my last comments on the pitching staff, two things I want to see personally is a better midweek starts, and it's more important than people think. And we have some tough midweek competition coming this year, as we do every year. But it's important. And then also, I want to see Sean get out there and solidify that number 2 role and show us that what he can do and give us one of those performances like Charlotte on a consistent basis. So, a couple things I'm looking forward to seeing tighten up this year.
Yeah, as far as the middays, I feel like it's directly related to the Sunday starts. In Sunday starts, or I'll just say Game 3 starts because sometimes they're Saturday. We're only averaging 2.3 innings per start on Game 3s, and then at middays we're averaging 2.3 as well. So it's tough when you got to go deep in the bullpen, late in the weekend.
Yeah,
And then,
so you're.
Yeah, so then if the game's on a Tuesday and Game 3's on a Sunday, it limits what you have available. So I think a big key to helping the midday outing from the pitchers is to do better on Game 3s.
Yeah, and that ties back into hopefully getting one of these guys back or seeing the freshman come in and deliver in Colby Weber. So those are guys that can go deep into games. So yeah, you're right. it does tie in with each other. When you got 7, 8 pitchers possibly going on a Sunday, and then you have a Tuesday or Wednesday game, the arms have to rebound quicker, and so you might not be putting out who you wanted to based on that Sunday situation. So that's a good point, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yep. And a couple shows ago, we talked about the 2026 schedule. Very challenging slate early. You have the 3-game series, the traveling series with the Tar Heels, who are very highly ranked in the preseason. And then you, of course, have another highly ranked team, last year's College World Series runner-up. The Pirates will return the trip this year, going to Conway after the Chants came to Clark LeClaire a season ago. I believe that's the first week in March. But yeah, those first 3 or 4 weeks of the season going to be very interesting to see how things develop. But guys, any final thoughts before we wrap up this 67th episode?
I'm good.
Yeah, and going back to the playing Coastal and playing Carolina, you're going to get some good Friday night matchups, folks, on both of those series. You're going to have some of the best pitchers in the nation showing up. So make sure you tune in.
If you don't already have your East Carolina baseball season tickets that are so hard to come by, there are going to be some in the jungle that are going on sale. Not sure exactly how many, but numbers are scarce. So make sure you call 10 a.m. on Thursday, January 22nd. Those will be available, 1-800-DIAL ECU, if you would like to secure some season tickets in the jungle. Again, the grandstand has been sold out for at least the last 4 years now, and I guess all season tickets have been sold out. And these will likely go very quickly. And going back, pretty much everything post-COVID or shortly after has been sold out, and you see some absolutely ridiculous prices on secondary market, places like StubHub, TickPick, etc., with tickets going for $100+.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because it shows you the state of East Carolina baseball. So especially when you got the schedule you have coming up, teams we're playing. So we need people to get out there, and yeah, you need to get ahead of the game and get your tickets.
Appreciate everyone tuning in. Be sure to go back and check out our positional preview if you've not heard it. If you're listening to the pitching preview first, also go back and check out a couple episodes prior where we really took a look at the 2026 schedule in depth and the way things shape up there. Be sure to follow us on social media, as you see there on the screen, at Jungle Tales Pod on X and Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Spotify by searching Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast. And we appreciate your support of the show. But that will do it for the 67th episode. And we'll catch up with you later on this week when we take an in-depth look at the American Conference. But until then, as always, go Pirates.